It was another newsworthy Wednesday night of wrestling. However, whilst one company is going to make you wait a couple of weeks to see explosions in the ring, the black and gold gave them to you last night. This is NXT Graded. Kyle O'Reilly is out to start the show. He is confused, shocked, PO'd and disappointed with Adam Cole's actions after Vengeance Day on Sunday. He says Adam Cole kicked him in the face and stabbed him in the back. He says they're still brothers, so he invites Adam Cole to come out and explain himself, saying, I'll probably punch you in the face anyway, but I'm willing to hear you out. This brings out Roderick Strong, of all people, playing Peacekeeper. He says Adam was high on emotions last night, and he no doubt regrets his actions this morning. Kyle just snaps here, screams at Roderick Strong, saying that he wants to hear that from Adam Cole. He asks Roderick Strong to not get in the ring because he doesn't know who to trust anymore. Doesn't even trust himself anymore. And out comes Finn Balor. And Kyle looks just furious with the fact that Balor's there. And Balor says that if Finn Balor wants Adam Cole, he's got to get in line. Finn Balor says he knew it was a mistake to shake Kyle O'Reilly's hand on Sunday, because look what happened. Roddy, still playing Peacekeeper, hops out of the ring to speak to Balor and says that had nothing to do with Kyle. And as these two are talking, here comes Pete Dunne and the Britam Brawlers to attack them from behind. Bunch of referees have to peel Pete Dunne off of Finn Balor, who's getting battered on the floor next to the ring. And the Britam Brawlers eventually get dragged away, leaving everybody a little bit worse for wear. It was an ambush from Pete and the Britams to get us started. A+ for this opening segment. You know what? Kyle O'Reilly is flipping fantastic. Jeez, just a beautifully understated promo that's leading to something really big. He's a star. And I think this is the beginning of something really special. I think what we're going to see with Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole and this civil war with Undisputed Era, I think it's going to be a bit of a shift in energy for NXT. And I think tonight we properly saw the start of that. William Regal gives us an update saying that Santos Escobar ain't here tonight. He got in his car and went home, saying he's not wrestling Karrion Kross tonight. Regal says that next week Santos will face Karrion Kross. If he doesn't turn up, he'll be stripped of the Cruiserweight Championship and suspended indefinitely. Regal also announces that following the opening that we just saw, our main event of the evening is Pete Dunne and the Britam Brawlers taking on Finn Balor, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Explosive main event tonight. Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell head to the ring next, along with Johnny Gargano. They've got missing posters for Austin Theory, who was kidnapped by Dexter Lumis at Vengeance Day. Gargano's on commentary for this one, handing out posters to everybody in the crowd tonight. Beth Phoenix says, have you got one on a milk carton? Beth Phoenix is being genuinely very funny on commentary. No, we're not giving enough love to some of the one-liners that Phoenix is having and some of the bants that she's having with Wade Barrett as well. I'm a big fan. Candice and Indi are out there to face Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. We see Shotzi and Ember get a nice early start, but we see the tide turn once Indi shuts down some tandem offense. And once we see the Way start motoring, we cut to outside the CWC, where a dirty white van is pulled up. And Gargano and Candice both see this, distracts them, and it leads to Gargano being off his game on commentary and Candice losing a little bit of the momentum in the match. Eventually they get back into it. This is a bit of a very serviceable back and forth that serves as a backdrop for Johnny Gargano on commentary, telling some story. He's actually very funny at one point. Well, he's funny throughout it, but there's one particular line where they're talking about Austin Theory being missing, and he gives his height and his weight, and he says he sometimes answers to the name Austin, basically describing him like a missing dog, which just made me smile. Eventually, Gargano sees this white van outside flash up on the big screen once again, and he leaves the commentary position to go and see what's going on. The match continues in the ring. Just further back and forth. Shotzi makes a hot tag during the break to start picking up momentum, but then the Way shut her down once again. We cut backstage where Gargano is looking around this white van, knocking on the door, knocking on the window. Nothing's really happening. Back in the ring, the match carries on. Nothing really exciting happening in this match. And then eventually we see Gargano step onto the stage with a man with a hood over his head. It's, of course, Austin Theory. He's got no trousers on, just wearing his pants and a t-shirt, and he's got cable ties around his hands and his feet. Candice LeRae, excited to see Theory, runs up the ramp to give him a hug, and this leads to Indi Hartwell getting rolled up and Shotzi and Ember picking up the 1, 2, 3. And then you've got sort of Ember and Shotzi celebrating their win in the ring quite awkwardly, whilst you've got the Way at the top of the ramp celebrating having Austin Theory back. I'm giving this a C+. The highlight was Gargano's commentary. He was very funny at some bits. The match itself was serviceable. Like, nothing really was exciting about this match. It was merely a backdrop. And then the stuff with the van seemed a bit... I don't know, it just seemed to go nowhere. I don't know whether this is a longer story that we're doing, possibly, but there was no jeopardy there. Just Johnny went to the van, was knocking on the van. I was expecting either Johnny to get kidnapped as well, or the van to at least drive off, but have Johnny just return with Austin. Oh, he's fine. Okay. And then nothing else for the rest of the night. It was a strange one. I wonder whether we'll have something with Theory. Maybe Theory will have a bit of sort of post-traumatic stress from being kidnapped by Dexter Lumis. Maybe Dexter Lumis is wearing Austin Theory's skin. That could be a thing. Pat McAfee is in his private jet. Or is it Dexter Lumis in Pat McAfee's? It's not. It's definitely Pat McAfee. He is addressing Adam Cole being a scumbag all along, and he invites the internet wrestling community to apologise to him using the hashtag #PatWasRight. Make sure you do that later on today. Kushida is being checked over by medical staff backstage. We get an update on how he's feeling. He's not done with Johnny Gargano yet. And Bronson Reed turns up as well. He says that he is ready for a shot at the North American Championship. And should he get it? And should he win the belt? And should it be him with the championship and Kushida as top contender? They'll cross that bridge when they get to it. It was a weird one. It was a bit like a Bronson kind of sort of getting Kushida's blessing to go after the North American title, which is quite sweet. And then Bronson goes away again. So maybe this is where Bronson wins the North American title. That'd be rather nice. And as we're wrapping up with Kushida, suddenly the man reading the newspaper, who's been sat down all along behind Kushida, reveals himself to be Malcolm Bivens. Hey, Bivens. And he says he's got a match for Kushida later on tonight. He's got an idea he's going to go and make it happen. Ooh, I wonder if he'll be against Tyler Rust. Or maybe Dexter Lumis in Tyler Rust's skin. Probably won't be that. Isaiah Swerve Scott out next. He's facing Leon Ruff. And Swerve is a jerk throughout all of this match, with Ruff going full pelt at him in the process. Swerve arrogantly outmaneuvering Ruff until Ruff starts getting deep into it with some big old arm drags and some great high-flying acrobatics to outmaneuver Swerve on multiple occasions. Swerve takes over with a hellacious knee to the face and a powerbomb onto his knee as well that looked pretty grim. This is a really heavy-hitting match between these two. We see Swerve get really cocky as well as Ruff starts ramping up with a big lariat. He hits a Brett's rope cutter. Swerve manages to make the ropes to stop the 3 count from going down, which puts over that move big style. I think when you do stuff like that. They pick up the pace once more with Swerve going for a powerbomb, only for Ruff to reverse with a crucifix roll for the 1, 2, 3. And Swerve is smiling after this. He's like, hey, well, he got me. Puts out a hand, gives Ruff a shake, and then boom, flattens him. Knocks him to the ground. Boo to you, Swerve. Bad loser. He then picks up Swerve and Death Valley driver style hurls him into the corner, and Ruff just hits the ground in an awful way. Oh, lands pretty badly. You then get Swerve talking straight into Leon Ruff, holding the back of his head and saying that he's tired of having to scratch and claw for everything whilst Ruff gets everything handed to him. He says it's Swerve's house before taking his leave. This was a B+. Boy, if this had been another 5 minutes, it might have been an A-, you know. Really hard hitting. Like, really smooth as well in places. As Swerve is a special kind of arsehole. Like, I love him as a heel. I liked him as a face. I think he's really found his thing as a heel. And Ruff as this sympathetic babyface. These two meshed beautifully. I want to see these guys go again, and I want to see these guys go longer. It was excellent work. Team Kacy out next. Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter taking on Jessi, Kamea and Aliyah from the Robert Stone brand. Kacy and Kacy still reeling from the events last week where they were attacked by Xia Li, and they say that they were just trying to win their friend over, but look, they're focused tonight on the Robert Stone brand. Kacy and Kacy start fresh and fast. A beaut of a cartwheel springboard leg scissors from Catanzaro really stood out in this one. Boa appears on the ramp looking like he's just fallen off the Matrix, and I love Boa's look here. He looks so cool. I told you ages ago Boa was going to be the guy. This distracts Kacy, that leads to a really nice combo cutter from Kamea and Aliyah. Like that move quite a bit. But Kacy and Kacy get back into this one. Catanzaro hitting a somersault leg drop, and then they do a joint neck breaker dive off the top for the 1, 2, 3, which is a unique way of finishing the match. After the match, we see Xia Li make an appearance. Kacy Catanzaro goes up the ramp to try and talk some sense into her, and Xia Li ends up grabbing Catanzaro's hand and doing 2 lines across her hand, indicating something bad. And she says, "Next week, I will purge you." And then she leaves. Kacy Catanzaro looks terrified by this. Good match overall, short and painful. I'm giving it a C+. Really like the sequence at the end. I like the little adjustment that we've seen with Xia Li. Like, this change in her has been incredible. And the thing about marking the arms to suggest that they're next in line for punishment, I think is a really nice little way of doing things. Big fan of that. We get the Dusty Cup ceremony here with Beth Phoenix introducing the winners of the men's and the women's Dusty Cup respectively. MSK out first, big balls of energy, excited and proud to be winners of the cup. Throw out the challenge to Oney, Lorcan and Danny Burch on March the 3rd. They will face them for the tag titles and be announced as the new NXT Tag Team Champions. Beth Phoenix then introduces the winners of the Women's Dusty Cup. That is Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. An organic "You Deserve It" chant starts. I feel like it's been a while since I've heard one of those. And just as Kai is putting themselves over, out comes Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, the Women's Tag Team Champions. Stepping into the ring, Kai introduces Raquel to Nia Jax and to Shayna Baszler. Shayna being the woman who ran scared from NXT when Rhea Ripley beat her. Shayna reminds Dakota Kai about the time that she broke her arm. Kai saying that she's not the same little girl that she knew back then. This goes back and forth. We cut to MSK and Beth Phoenix in the corner with big buckets of popcorn. Congratulations, guys. You've just created a brand spanking new popcorn GIF. Can we be the first outlet to use that as a GIF? Andrew, can you put it up there? Brilliant. There you go. That's going to replace the Big E one, I do believe. After all this goes on for a little bit longer, Shayna Baszler says, "Look, March the 3rd, we're coming back here and we're going to embarrass you." And the women's tag titles will be on the line on March the 3rd. It's Raquel Gonzalez that gets the final word as Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are heading back up the ramp. Gonzalez gestures towards the silver cowboy boots in the Dusty Trophy, saying, "I'm going to shove that boot so far up your hole, you'll never get it out." A hole gag! Yes! We've got a little bit more mileage in that. Let's use it. B+ for that whole bit. This was loads of fun. Lots of nice callbacks to previous bits. Some good lines in there as well. I thought Beth Phoenix and MSK were adorable in this bit as well. They got a genuine chuckle out of old Chuckleface here for the popcorn bit. I like that a lot. It was a really fun segment. They're really boosting that March the 3rd show, aren't they? What a random show to suddenly start packing out. I can't think why WWE would want to put so much emphasis on a random NXT on March the 3rd. It seems strange. They don't counter program. We get a replay of the Cameron Grimes rap from TakeOver Vengeance Day, which I'm fine about. I could listen to it all day long. It ends this time, though, with Cameron Grimes crashing his Lambo and then just walking away laughing, going, "I'll just buy another one." I can't wait once this Cameron Grimes Southern $1 Million Man thing gets rolling. Oh, it's going to be the most fun. I love it. We get a recap from an Io Shirai photo shoot next. And during this photo shoot, Toni Storm attacks Io Shirai. We get this recapped by photos taken by the photographer. So the first shot is like Io Shirai smiling with the belt on. The next shot is Toni Storm's foot coming into shot, booting Io Shirai away. And then it's a bunch of photos of Toni just putting a hurt in on Io Shirai. I mean, top marks to the Tog that they hired for that particular event, who, even though their client was getting assaulted, carried on snapping. That's a pro Tog, that is. They're probably a wedding photographer, I'd imagine. Kushida takes on Tyler Rust next in a match set up earlier on by Malcolm Bivens. Kushida starts off really hot, but Tyler Rust pulls him off the top rope at one point, and that awkward landing from Kushida is all that Rust needs to get into this one. Kushida fights back after the break. We see him start to push back into this one until we see Tyler Rust push back once again with a guillotine, hit an axe kick. He counters a guillotine, rather. He hits an axe kick for a 2 count. Then he gets a bunch of swift kicks. He gets like a bow and arrow sleeper lock in there as well that look really, really nice. And he starts to wear on Kushida, but Kushida manages to push back, hits a deep soccer kick to the arm of Rust, a callback to the match against Gargano on Sunday. He counters a Death Valley driver with an arm hold that brings Rust down and ends up with Rust being in the hoverboard lock. Bivens on the apron, shouting for the referee, not to distract the ref, but to call the match off. Bivens is the one saying he's had enough, he quits, and Kushida wins the match. Bivens talks to Rust afterwards and says, you'll live to fight another day. And that's how this one ends. B- here. A decent enough TV match between these two. Rust's build is an interesting one. It's not so much about racking up victories and getting a winning streak going. It's more that Bivens is trying to give him sort of in-ring air miles with big wrestlers, like a Kushida. Like, they're not necessarily winning these matches, but the fact that he's in there competing against them is part of a bigger strategy, I believe, which is a unique way for a manager to operate, and I'm here for it. Earlier today, the cameras went to LA Knight's home and knocked on his door. He didn't want to talk at first until he decided he changed his mind, came out, cut a belter of a promo in the process. The artist formerly known as Eli Drake said anybody who was told they were the hottest free agent have been told wrong, because that's basically him. NXT now belongs to LA Knight. That's just a fact of life. Dummy, yeah. He didn't say dummy, yeah. In my head he did, though. This is LA Knight's game. He then shuts the door on the cameras. Nice little bit of promo stuff from LA Knight. I think he's a great get for NXT, is the artist formerly known as Eli Drake. If you play 2K19, by the way, look up the create an entrance, no dummies allowed. It's Eli Drake's full entrance. If you wish to make LA Knight in the create a wrestler mode for 2K19, you certainly can. Zoe Stark in the house next. She's taking on Valentina Feroz. You can tell by the fact that Zoe got a promo video and an entrance before this match. She's very much the focus on this one. Feroz gets some good kicks in there, some good licks in there, but this is all about the ferocity. How angry that Zoe Stark is. She hits some really deep strikes and some heavy kicks, a big half and half suplex, big running knee strike, and a spinning modified GTS for the 1, 2, 3. Kind of puts them in a cartwheel motion and boots them on the way down. It's very, very cool. C+, they're not a whole lot to this, just a really nice showcase of Zoe Stark, who I think is a really good investment for NXT. Like, this is somebody with once we get a little bit of the meat on the bone, metaphorically, not in terms of the look. I mean, sure, she looks like she cracked my head open, but in terms of like character and that sort of thing, once we get a bit of that, I think she'll be a big get for NXT. We get a promo from Karrion Kross and Scarlett before our main event. Karrion Kross and Scarlett saying that you can't pause this nightmare, Santos Escobar. Karrion Kross says either they'll have the match next week and Santos will get his head kicked in, or Santos will run away and Karrion Kross will find him and kick his head in. Either way, TikTok, etc. That match is happening next week. Main event is Pete Dunne teaming with the Britam Brawlers to face Finn Balor and the Undisputed Era. Roderick Strong stands on the apron, goes to do the pose, but Kyle just walks straight past him. He is not in the mood for doing any Undisputed Era taunts tonight. He's out there looking for a fight. This one starts strong for the Era. Strong ends up taking a hiding, though, before landing a desperation combination backbreaker, making the tag to O'Reilly. Good run for O'Reilly. He ends up diving off the apron, trying for a running knee on Pete Dunne, but gets punched in the chops on the way down to put Dunne and the Brawlers in charge going into the break. O'Reilly suffers a big old beating here until he manages to duck a rebound lariat and tag in Balor. He gets a shoe in, but that's the moment he gets tagged out. Balor's in, Balor runs wild, and from here it all breaks down. First reversal. Everyone's in the ring everywhere. We see Pete Dunne and Balor picking up where they left off with some beefy moves between these two. As Pete Dunne is in the corner, Balor is sizing him up for a shotgun dropkick. We see Danny Burch and the referee fighting over the NXT Championship belt. Burch is trying to take it away. This leads to the ref falling into the line of fire of Finn Balor and Pete Dunne. He ends up getting squished by those guys and taken out. Balor carries on regardless, gets up to the top rope, and once he's up there, gets pushed off the top by, who's this in the hoodie? It's only flipping Adam Cole. Throws Balor to the floor, spots Kyle O'Reilly, boots him in the face, suplexes him onto the steel steps before taking his leave. Back in the ring, only Lorcan grabs the NXT title. Looks like he's going to finish off Finn Balor with a belt shot. Roddy's in there with a big running knee to save the day. Roddy grabs the title belt, goes over to Finn Balor, and Balor, just almost out of instinct, just hits a Pele kick and knocks out Roddy. Once he realises what he did, it leaves him wide open to the bitter end from Pete Dunne. 1, 2, 3. Pete Dunne has just pinned the NXT champion. And as the Britain Brawlers and Dunne head off up the ramp, this leaves Finn Balor in the ring on his own. And Adam Cole appears out of nowhere, super kick to Balor, leaves him lying. We see Cole look down at Kyle O'Reilly, who is in a really weird position on the floor, like his face is on the ground, his legs are in the air, he doesn't look well. Bunch of refs gather around him to check on him, and Adam Cole returns to Balor, picks up the NXT title and holds it aloft as the show goes off the air. This was a B, this main event. Lots of moving parts throughout this one. Really, really busy but well contested main event. Top marks to Kyle O'Reilly, who convinced all the news outlets that he had a seizure during that whole thing. Turns out he's absolutely fine, by the way. We've since heard he's okay. He was just selling a move, but selling a move very, very well indeed. But I'm glad that he's all right. Very busy main event that was. Overall this week, NXT is a B+. I thought the early stages of the Undisputed Era Civil War were the most compelling part of this whole show. But top marks to Leon Ruff and Swerve, who had the match of the night, in my opinion. They absolutely tore it down. Lots of momentum for lots of storylines throughout tonight. Really good way to come off of the back of Vengeance Day and into whatever they've got planned for 2 weeks' time. It seems like an unusually big episode of NXT, doesn't it? Strange that. Thanks for watching. My name's Tom Campbell. Or am I Dexter Loomis wearing Tom Campbell's skin? Love you, bye.